Today we are making bourbon chicken, my friends. I think you're gonna love this one. This is a classic dish from Louisiana. It is Chinese-style chicken that is cooked up in a sweet, sticky, delicious sauce. So easy to make, and it is made with bourbon. I love it very much. So let me show you how to make it. All right, first thing we wanna do is get our sauce set up here. It's a very simple sauce. Here we have a 1/4 cup of soy sauce into a bowl, and a 1/4 cup of bourbon. I say use your favorite bourbon. And a 1/4 cup of brown sugar into the bowl, and rice wine vinegar, and a teaspoon of red chili flake, my little addition for a little extra spice to it. So just get everything into a mixing bowl and mix it all together here. Very, very simple. All right, we're gonna set this aside as we get all of our other ingredients ready. But a little bit of a history about this recipe. Bourbon chicken, it's named for its use of bourbon, but also because it was invented on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. So you can find this recipe often in New Orleans and the surrounding area, or in Chinese restaurants, very easy, or possibly even like a food court somewhere where it's something simple to produce. So, all right, let's get the chicken going. All right, I've got my sauce made and set aside. I got my station all set up. So the next step is to get a wok or just a good sized pan set to medium-high heat. And I have about a tablespoon or so of sesame oil. All right, get that going. And I've got chicken here. I'm gonna season my chicken with just a bit of salt and pepper. Watch the salt because we're using soy sauce and that can be pretty salty. But I have 1 pound of chicken, and I'm using a mix of chicken breast and chicken thigh, but you can use either or, just boneless, and it's cut into bite-sized cubes. Get this set in there. All right, I'm gonna cook this down for about 3 to 4 minutes to get some nice browning on the chicken. But one addition to the recipe, ingredient that I like to add, is chili peppers. And you won't find peppers very often with bourbon chicken, but it's just something I obviously love to do. I'm adding just a mix of some serrano peppers and some red ahis that I have from my garden. But you can really use any chili peppers that you want to. I have about, looks like about 1/3 of a cup or so, about 5 or 6 chilies. And to me, it just adds that nice extra level of heat and flavor that, Chili Pepper Madness loves. So the next step is to add some minced garlic. And I'm using about 4 cloves for myself, but you can really, use garlic to taste. And I have about a thumb-sized knob of ginger that I minced up, peeled and minced. And set that into the pan and give it a nice stir. You're gonna cook this down for 30 seconds to a minute or so until you can smell that gorgeous garlic blooming. One of my favorite smells ever. So good. The next step here is to add your sauce. Make sure it's nice and stirred up still. Give it a swirl, and into the pan it goes. Get that all in there. Set aside. And I'm gonna cook this, let it just simmer in there for a good 10 minutes or so to let the bourbon cook off. You're gonna cook off the alcohol, but what remains in the sauce is that just delicious combination flavor of bourbon and soy sauce and all the seasonings in there. One quick tip, if you don't like to use bourbon in cooking, don't like to cook it with alcohol, apple juice is a great substitution. So just go ahead and mix in the exact amount of apple juice and you'll be good to go. It won't taste the exact same, but it'll still be delicious. All right, it's smelling really good in here. I can smell a lot of the bourbon is really, the alcohol is cooked off and it's looking delicious. So the next step is an optional step. I like to do it, is to thicken up the sauce a little bit with a slurry of cornstarch and water. So I have about 2 teaspoons of cornstarch with a tablespoon of water all mixed together. And I'm just gonna go ahead and pour it in there. Set aside. And we're gonna mix it together and cook this for about a minute or 2 until the sauce starts to thicken up and it'll coat all the chicken very nicely. And again, if you want it to have an even thicker sauce, you can add a little bit more cornstarch and do it again until you get the consistency that you want. or use less if you want a little thinner sauce. Again, it's optional, but oh yeah, look at that. It's already starting to thicken up nicely. Looking delicious. All right, it's looking good here. Hey, let's talk real quick about the heat factor. So bourbon chicken really isn't meant to be a hot and spicy recipe. It's really more of that sweet kind of a sauce with that depth of flavor from the bourbon. But it is absolutely delicious, so I love to make it at home. But when I make it my way, I like to add in peppers. As you saw, I added serranos and some ahis. But you can add as many hot peppers as you want to. You can also use spicy seasonings. Like I only season my chicken with a bit of salt and pepper, but really you can add some hot chili flakes in there. Really spice it up, and a few dashes of hot sauce. Not meant to be hot and spicy, but you can make it wonderfully spicy if you want to. So let's talk about serving. There are actually a few different ways that you can serve up your bourbon chicken. I like to serve ours usually with white rice or with noodles, so it's really delicious either way. I kind of like 50-50 on that. But another way that you can do it is to add lots of vegetables and cook that down with the chicken, and it'll become a wonderful stir fry. So I definitely encourage you to give that a try. No matter how you serve it, I like to add a little bit of chopped green onion to mine. Always adds a nice flavor. And some red chili flake, just a little bit, sprinkle over the top. Always makes it look nice and pretty. Delicious. I'm ready to dig into this. Bourbon chicken, my friends, super easy to make, isn't it? Hey, if you were looking for another super flavorful chicken recipe that's so easy to make, you gotta check out my Korean chicken recipe, and I'll cue that one up as well. It's great, another one I think you're gonna love. But hey, I hope you leave your comments below, give it a like, let me know what you think and how you're gonna change it up and make it your own. But I will see you in the Chili Pepper Madness kitchen next time. So thanks for coming, guys. See ya, bye. All right, let's give it a taste. Oh yeah, seriously, this stuff is so good. You gotta make it today. Make it today.